Regardless of the job people think that Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker is doing, everyone would grant it's a tough one being a Republican governor in a deep blue state.
I'm 100% pro-Trump.
And now that job has gotten tougher.
I think there's probably always somebody who's not going to think he's conservative enough, but my opinion, and I think a lot of other opinions, is yes, he is.
I don't think Massachusetts is the type of state that necessarily needs, him to kind of stick up for Trump.
In a blue state, he'll do what he has to do to get reelected.
We're going to work really hard for you guys between now and the fall.
I think some of his decisions are a little bit murky in the sense where he waits a little bit too long to make those decisions, I think just to please other people.
He doesn't really care about the well-being of the average working class citizen.
I don't know who Massachusetts Republicans really are. I just know Charlie fits the bill for all of us.
So back by popular demand, today's LTR Political Roundtable. Our analyst this morning on Democrat Marianne Marsh. And I'm sorry, sir, did you have your real ID with you?
I just wandered in here by mistake
today. Good to see you, young man.
Good to see you back.
With us. Great to see you.
So you heard the governor this morning. Is he handling Scott Lively correctly?
Yeah, he's ignoring him. Scott Lively's a nut. Scott Lively is a fringe candidate. Scott Lively isn't a serious person. He represents a small percentage of cranky, angry Republicans. This is a deep blue state. This is a governor who made it pretty clear this morning that you don't govern and get things done that way. You govern by being a serious person, and you worry about doing your job. That's what Charlie Baker's doing.
Should Baker debate Lively, Marianne?
It's too early for that, and I think you saw this morning, as Patrick pointed out, Charlie Baker saying, I'm too busy, I got a big agenda, I want to get it done. And that's the traditional way to do it, and he should do that. But he does have an opportunity here to marginalize Lively, to condemn him without ever using his name, by simply saying, Massachusetts is a great place to live and work because we value civil rights, we value diversity, we value inclusivity. That's why it's a great reason to live here, work here, and do all those things. And if he did that, he's not going to lose any Republican votes because those Lively folks are never going to vote for Charlie Baker. But he could pick up a lot of unenrolled votes and a lot of unenrolled women and a bigger margin by doing it.
Patrick, you use the word small. Is 28% at the convention small?
Eddie, it's a convention. Okay? It's a convention. In a couple of weeks, the Democrats are going to do the same thing. And what you're going to find is there is a group of people on both sides of this argument who have specious, individual sort of efforts they want to push forward and not those of a party. This is about winning a general election. Marianne's right. Charlie Baker will do fine with independents who will decide this race. He will hold Republicans. They will come home, and he's going to win plenty of Democrats.
But he could be a bigger leader by doing this.
Item 2 is sports betting here in Massachusetts. Is it a fait accompli here in the Commonwealth?
Sports betting in the sports capital of the world? Really?
Really?
I'm shocked.
So I'll take that as a yes.
We have a long history of voting down vices, and we're about to raise the age to smoke. But I think we should look at it. I agree with Charlie Baker on this, but please don't put a commission together to do it.
Patrick.
Yeah, I think the governor indicated he was open to it. The question is the platform. Where does it go? Everybody wants a piece. Governor Chris Sununu was asked this in New Hampshire last week. His answer was, sports betting in New Hampshire? I give it 3-1.
Meanwhile, the Mount Ida saga continues to ignite repercussions throughout the state university system. President Marty Meehan got a big slap by the UMass Boston faculty. Take a listen.
We do not and cannot shift monies paid for by a student to attend one campus to address the needs of another.
So how can this be fixed, at least politically speaking, Marianne?
Marty Meehan's problems are only getting worse, not better. First, it was Marty Walsh who came out and said maybe the city should take over UMass Boston. Now he has not only Steve Lynch, the congressman, but the entire Boston delegation, state, federal, and local, who represent UMass Boston, saying they should take UMass Boston out of the system. Yet Marty Meehan, for some reason, thinks he can rope-a-dope his way out of this. He's getting more problems, not less, and they need to do a much, much better job trying to explain this, which I think is inexplicable.
Is Marianne right about that?
You can't explain the inexplicable, but she's right about that. The bigger question is this. I think the governor's right. What about the trustees? What about the people responsible from a fiduciary standpoint to run that institution? Marty Meehan's going to face the music on his situation for the state system. The Mount Ida folks, trustees and others, they need to be held accountable.
And Maura Healey's doing that.
Our next item, Senator Ed Markey leads the battle to restore net neutrality by a vote of 52-47 in the Senate.
This is common sense to Americans around the country. with the only exception being telecom lobbyists and lawyers inside the Beltway.
The repeal of the Obama-era law goes into effect June 11th, and I don't want to make this a show about odds all the time, but Marianne, what are the odds of that making this will pass the House, much less signed by the president?
The House, no. Trump, no, because it's Obama. Markey won the battle, but probably not the war. And it's ironic because 89% of Democrats wanted to keep it, 75% of Republicans, and in a lot of states, they're going ahead without Congress and putting in their own net neutrality programs. Massachusetts should do the same.
Is the wall at the Senate, Patrick? It doesn't go beyond. Pardon me, I didn't put my phone on silent. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's your wife. Pick up Brett.
Yeah, I know. You're not wrong.
Listen, here's the thing on this. I'm still trying to recover from Ed Markey and his scintillating floor speech. He reminds me of JFK. Look, the problem here is, Marianne's right, it doesn't go beyond the House. The president certainly isn't going to sign it. The other problem is it's a manufactured Ed Markey solution from Washington, one size fits all. It's not dealing with the real problems here, which is Facebook and Google and others who still manipulate data. Those platforms will slow things down. It's kissing your sister solutions from Ed Markey in Washington.
It's going to kill small businesses. It kills consumers. It's all wrong, and it needs to be fixed. And if Congress can't do it, every state should, and
it's
many
not going to
aren't.
do any of that because it's not going anywhere, period.
Stay right where you are. We're taking a break.